Alrighty, for the first official episode of Reno the Rig, we're going to address one of the biggest things in these units. Obviously, you need to rely on power. Now, a lot of these big units, all of these RVs in the States, they all come with generators. So I bet you're asking yourself, why do we need to fix that if it already comes with a generator? Now, behind this fancy door is our generator. Now, this is an own and brand generator, which is pretty much just a Cummins. You can see, little logo just there, that's a Cummins logo. So these are generators made by Cummins. Now, most of the generators that come in a lot of these rigs, especially the diesel rigs, are diesel generators. They'll run from the same tank that the main engine runs from, and they'll run forever. A lot of the other Aussies, they'll have their generators running for weeks on end without turning them off. This sucker runs on propane gas, or as we call in Australia, LPG. And behind this door is our LPG tank, or propane. Now this is about 25 gallons, roughly 100 litres. You think that that is plenty. I would have thought that too. This also runs our fridge, runs the water heater, it runs the stove obviously for cooking. You think it would last absolutely forever. But as we just found out in the hot Florida sun, this thing, if you try to run it for more than 12 hours, that's pretty much your entire tank gone. Now, don't ask me why Winnebago thought it was a good idea to put an LPG generator in this, but it's shit. Especially when you go into events or you're on the road, you're always trying to ration your propane, even when you've just filled it up, and it's expensive. So, we're gonna fix that in this episode. And how are we gonna fix that, you might ask? By harnessing the power of the sun. The nice folks over at Renovating were kind enough to hook us up with a killer solar kit. All right, first of all, we have to go make something that's gonna hold all of this unit, mount it somewhere in the RV, so let's just get straight into that. Alrighty, so this is my weird contraption that I've made. It looks a lot worse when it's just raw like this. So I've got one of these crazy turbo cans to paint it, but battery box, controller, inverter, and then just get all the wiring to be nice and neat. I've already test fit it under the RV and it fits in the little, really bro? Fits in the area perfectly. So these things are so fun to use. So I got Rochelle to come out here and hold the camera so that she can film me using it. Porous, so it's going to soak up all this after as I use this, so I can just freaking soak it. Alright, can's pretty much finished off. Let this dry outside for a while, take it inside, place everything in it and around it, maybe even start wiring. Should look sick. Alrighty, so it's been a full day now. Look at what I've come up with. Look at what I've come up with. Okay, so we got controller, inverter, batteries, shunt, remote for the inverter, and then that's like the shunt / battery monitor. These will be both mounted in the RV around the door above where this is going to be. This is nearly ready to go into the RV, into where it's going to live. I've just got to wait for some 0 gauge lugs so that I can tie the battery banks together. Because right now, the inverter is working off that battery and the controller is working off that battery. But today's efforts, we're pretty much mounting everything. Today I want to have solar panels on the roof, the wires ran down to where they're going to be and installed, which is super easy, installed into the controller. I want to have the whole solar circuit done today, which really shouldn't be hard. I did most of the stuff yesterday, so that it should all be pretty easy to just go in, connect, and good. The hard part that I'm still figuring out is how to actually wire it to the RV, because I don't want to just use the outlets that are on the inverter to have their own circuit to go to like a power board or something in there. I want it to power the whole RV. So it does have like your, I forget if it's AC or DC, insert clip, what it is here, whatever, but like actual power, not 12 volt power, like 110 volt. I want that supplying the RV. So I've got to figure out how to get it to the transfer box transfer box, whatever the freaking transfer unit thing is, so that it can actually put the power to everything in the RV. But RVs have a converter. The converter, instead of an inverter, then also charges the house battery and the truck battery. And if I supply power with the inverter, it's just creating a loop. It's using the batteries to charge the other batteries, so it's creating a massive draw for no reason, and you'll end up hurting the inverter. So I'm still learning, trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this. So I at least wanna have everything done on the solar section so that the sun's charging, or the sun's hitting the panels, charging the batteries, controller's working, inverter's working. Then I can figure out how I'm gonna splice splice the cables into the RV. Oh, this is a little bit above my pay grade, but day go week, baby. How crazy is it that literally as I'm filming this video, that Cletus happens to put up freaking RV content? That is insane. Tim messaged me this morning and he was like, you watch the RV videos? I was like, you are freaking joking. That is freaking cool. Day go, baby. So I'm an idiot. I just filmed the whole thing and then realized that I filmed it in slow-mo, so there's gonna be no audio and it's all shit. But we had the RV at the front of Zombie Garage over there. I was gonna get the boys to pass the tools up. I was gonna climb up the shitty ladder at the back, pass the tools up, pass the panels up and work from there. And then Jack had the bright idea, why don't you drive next to their stacker, then you can literally walk up, which makes it so much nicer because I feel like I'm not rushed and working on top of myself. Now I can literally just walk up and down and do a panel all the time. As you can hear, it's a bit windy. It gets a little sketchy when you're up there, especially with, I can imagine it's gonna get worse and I'm holding a big kite or a wind sail. So I'll see you guys up there once I got the first panel up there. Alrighty, first panel, stuck and sealed, or screwed and sealed. It is bloody windy up here. I marked that this is where I'll put my pass-through into the cabin of the RV. That's roughly where the door is. So then I'm thinking second panel there, third panel here. Means that for whatever reason you can walk along this side if you need to. This side's accessible, so it should still be somewhat serviceable if you need to be. There's plenty of room up here and plenty of wind. Okay, I'm gonna make this short because it's windy as hell. I don't like the curvature of the roof going this direction. So instead of going this way, the roof is wide enough to go lengthways so that it's the same as that panel. I'm gonna do that now. All right, second panel installed. And if you'll see, something is missing. Ditch that freaking sucker that always just rattles on the roof, some shitty antenna that we're never gonna use. Put that panel there, next panel there, because there wasn't going to be enough room. Then to the junction, then I'll drill my holes and mount the junction box, pass through, and then we're done on the roof. All right, I'm gonna call this finished on the roof. I've gone over all of the holes in the roof, as well as having the the Solar Seal 900, as well as having that under the panels. Wanted to clear over the top of all of them, so I used some Flex Seal spray. Went overboard on that because that's just behind the TV, so I don't want that to leak at all. I don't care how it looks, I want it to work. And then just with some real wide Flex Seal tape, just stuck all these down so that they can't move around in the wind while you're driving. They can't freaking do anything, so no cords slapping around. All right, we should be good for the next step. Put the power unit in. Alrighty, I can finish the wiring off now. We have our little hammer crimper, so I can do all the 0 gauge. I did most of the 4 gauge just on the vise, so I might give those a quick little snug up with these too. The inverter, I made it level to the top of the board. The board starts to slope. Yeah. So the inverter's not 100% straight. Oh, but I can now cut these to length, plug them in, and we're fucking making power.
We got solar, baby.
Got solar, baby.
See you in Dega.
See you in Dega. So I also chucked in a fuse, re-crimped, like it's over the heat shrink, but I re-crimped the 4 gauge where I just did it in the vise, did it with the actual crimper, just to be sure. All right, let's try and not burn it down. Let's connect some power to it. Alrighty. Now, we film this because this is either where we start making power or where something potentially catches on fire. Clear. Oh shit, it shows on the panel that it's working. Make it 35 volts, 11 watts, 70 watts. Oh my God, that's so exciting. Dang, it's charging. That's so fucking cool. All right, now I gotta figure out how to mount in the box. There's ridges in the fiberglass. So like here and here, I've got huge M10 bolts that I'll put through just so it can't slide and move. I put a bit of foam underneath it just to kind of help with the shaking. But that should be able to come down there. So they're all neat. I need a lot of zip ties. Now we've got to put the controllers in there. Wait, turn the inverter on. Cool. Alrighty, so yesterday, I pretty much went through the entire RV trying to find the converter. Thankfully, it's under one of the kitchen benches. You pull it out, pull a little false floor out, and you can just unplug the converter. Boom. Now, whenever the generator's on or you hook up to shore power, you don't have to worry about backfeeding the inverter and cooking it. I was laying in bed this morning and went, oh shit, if I've got this hooked up to the 12-volt system, literally extending it from where it was on the old house batteries, that means when the RV is running, the alternator is going to try and charge these batteries, which is a massive no-go because they're lithium. If it was AGMs or anything, I wouldn't care. Let it charge on top of the solar, doesn't matter, just another charging source. But because of lithium, wouldn't work. So I had to pull out some wiring diagrams. I had to pull out some wiring diagrams and figure something out to see how the alternator system works, because I know that when you key on, it would somehow flick the starter battery onto the house batteries too, because the house batteries were so dead in this, we'd have to flick the key on to use the starter battery to start the generator. So I knew that there was a system that flicks over that way. So with some research, there's a solenoid for it. Solenoid right here. So we've got chassis battery coming in and out. And then when you key on, what was on that terminal would then trigger the solenoid to then pass the charging power onto this terminal, which goes to the coach batteries or the house batteries. So literally just took the terminal off that, so it's not going to trigger the solenoid when you key on. Now the alternator will not be passing power through to try and charge those batteries. So that, thankfully, brings an end to the saga of the solar stuff. There's been a couple sleepless nights as I've been trying to figure out or plan in my head the wiring situations. I do have the battery monitor and the inverter remote mounted inside the RV. We have tested it. Does run the air conditioning. It runs everything in the RV, 12 volt, and the inverter does the 110 perfectly. But we started filming the second episode of renovating the inside of the RV, so I'm not going to show you that just yet. You're going to have to wait and see that. Like I said, second episode of Reno the Rig, we're jumping inside and we're going to update this thing from the 90s to try and make it a little bit more modern. Now, also, I really want to quickly add, huge shout out to the guys at Zombie Garage, mainly Seth and Tony. They literally bend over backwards for us when we come here. We live here, we take over this place, we use their power, we use their water, we wash our clothes. We literally do everything here. We use their tools, we use their facilities. Without them, I couldn't have done any of this. So huge shout out from the guys from Zombie Garage. Go and find them on Facebook, go and find them on YouTube, go and sub, because they got some crazy shit coming too. Alrighty guys, subscribe, stick around for episode 2 of Reno the Rig.